Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fly Day Friday, the day of the week where we talk about things that fly. And today we're going to be taking a look at the HJ993. This is a teeny tiny little Cheerson CX-10 clone. Not that I've actually gotten my hands on the CX-10 yet. I may have to do that at some point in the future, but it definitely looks an awful lot like that. It also looks an awful lot like the JJ810 that I reviewed quite a little while back, although it doesn't fly quite the same as that one. It comes with a 100 milliamp hour battery in it. I know this for a fact because whenever mine showed up, the battery in it refused to recharge. So there you go. It is a 100 milliamp hour battery. It's got two little connectors on it like that. This is the one that actually came out of the HJ993, and I took another battery out of another Nano quadcopter that I've got here and soldered it on just to replace it. And when I ended up opening this up, I did end up damaging this little bit of the board here, so I'm gonna have to put a little bit of tape on that just to get everything to stay in place nicely. But I have been able to fly it without any problems ever since. In the box, in case you're curious, it does come with your standard fare. It comes with a USB charging cable, a few extra props, the controller itself, which is pretty standard nano-sized controller, and the quadcopter itself. And as you can see, this is the orange model. There are several other colors of this available, but I'm definitely a big fan of this color. It makes it very easy to see against the sky. Now, as far as how it flies, I would not say that it has a particularly fast yaw rate. There are 3 different rates that you can choose using the controller. You simply push down on the left stick and it changes the rate for you. If you want to do a flip, you push down on the right stick and you push in a direction and it'll flip. But even in the 3rd rate, the yaw rate is still decently slow. It's manageable, it's usable, but it's not something I'd really want to fly around indoors because it is still kind of slow. But this thing does have a pretty decent amount of pitch. So when you're in the 2nd and 3rd rate, if you just push it forward into the wind, it's going to lay out and go flat and go straight forward, no questions asked. And the great thing about it being so similar to the Cheerson CX-10 is that any accessories for it, like the motors and the props and the canopy itself, are probably pretty well interchangeable between all of these. Because like I said, I was able to change the battery pretty easily from another quadcopter with no problems. The props are all a standard size, so you can just pop these off and put a different one on if you want to, if you wanted to do different colors specifically. So I might end up just taking this little thing on vacation with me because it is a tiny little nano. It's a lot of fun to fly. It definitely zooms around in the wind. And actually the most fun thing about it so far has been the flips. I don't know if I'm just flying differently nowadays, but when I do a flip on this thing, more often than not, I end up doing double flips, triple flips, and if I'm high enough up, I've been able to do quadruple flips with no problem. And basically to do those sorts of flips when you're flying and you've got your throttle going and everything, you hit the flip button, you push it in a direction, and when you push it in that direction, right afterwards, you let off the throttle, give it a second or two, and then give it back before it gets to the ground, and it'll take right back off. I think that's probably a little bit hard on the motors, but on these little teeny tiny motors, it hasn't really been a problem so far. They have an awful lot of power, and there's not a huge amount of weight to this little thing. And the worst case scenario, I actually picked up some spare motors online that were ridiculously cheap, and they came with a bunch of props as well. So I do have replacements, and it is pretty easy to solder on these little things. Basically, you just remove 4 screws, and the entire thing kind of comes apart. You got these little clips on the side. That's actually how I broke off this clip, was when I opened it up to replace the battery. But one way or another, I am still a big fan of these little things, and this is definitely not a bad option. I received this one for free from lytake.com, so I will put a link to where you can find that down in the video description. But I think that's going to be about all from me for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the flight footage from this one. Remember to leave a thumbs up down below the video if you like this video, and subscribe to receive more videos when they become available, and I'll see you again next time.